Hello, my friend, and thanks for checking out this video where I'm going to be taking a look at the box office results for this past weekend, October 2nd through October 4th. And before I dig into the numbers, I would like to ask you if you would please subscribe to my channel, as well as like and share this video. I know they're only small clicks for you, but they really do mean the world to me. All right, the first thing I wanted to do was talk about Disney Studios and how they have been trying for the past 40 plus years to get us to fall in love with the TRON movie franchise. And 3 movies in, I hate to tell them, I don't think it's going to happen. TRON ARES, the latest victim of the October box office, came out on Friday, had early projections right around 50 million, which would have been okay and would have been more than the last installment opened. But unfortunately for Disney, TRON ARES only opened with $33.5 million. Yes, it was enough for first place, but hardly a gross worth cheering about. Especially since the movie opened on 4,000 screens and the per screen average was less than $8,400 per screen. Those are really sad numbers, especially on a movie that costs $200 million to make and needs to make in excess of $400 million just to clear a profit. I don't think it's going to happen. This is a franchise, by the way, that has been underperforming ever since it got started way back in 1982. When that original Tron came out in 1982, it only ended up making 27 million, not adjusted for inflation, but that was its lifetime gross, 27 million dollars. It got lost in the shuffle, plain and simple, in 1982. It was released the same summer as E.T. and Poltergeist and Rocky 3 and just a buttload of huge summer blockbusters. And Tron, like I said, got lost in the shuffle. So yes, even the 1982's Tron was kind of underwhelming and kind of a disappointment for the studio. And I don't think anybody, audiences, or even the studio heads back then imagined that there would ever be a sequel to that movie, much less would they wait 30 years to do it. But that's what they did in 2010 when they released Tron Legacy, a $200 million, I will call it a fiasco, even though it may have made a little, the tiniest bit of money. It was on a $200 million budget, and it did gross globally right around $400 million. So it either broke even, may have made a little bit of money, or may have lost a little bit, but it was hardly something to cheer about either. So we thought, anyways, I thought it was conventional wisdom, that that was going to be it. Well, here we are 15 years later, and we have TRON ARES. Now, I will say this, TRON ARES has received slightly better critic scores, audience scores than TRON Legacy did. TRON ARES right now is sitting at a 57% Rotten Tomatoes score and a more impressive 89% audience score. And of course, it's the audiences that will always determine whether a movie has legs or not. I don't think TRON ARES has a whole lot going for it in its favor to do that, though. I do expect this movie to drop off probably near 70% next week. That would be my prediction. And if that happens, I think it'll be pretty obvious that TRON ARES isn't really going to have the legs that it needs to make a profit. Okay, in second place is a movie that I actually thought, going into the weekend anyways, had quite a bit of sleeper potential, and that's the movie Roofman, starring Channing Tatum and Kirsten Dunst. It's a comedy, action, romance, once again starring Channing Tatum. He's kind of America's sweetheart in these kind of movies. This is the kind of movie that typically has been a sleeper during this time of year. Gets released on an off weekend, good counter programming, and yet this movie just kind of sat there and did nothing. Even though I will say that Roofman did end up meeting very low industry expectations of $8 million in its opening weekend. That's exactly what it did bring in. Enough for second place, but not enough for a celebration. It did play on a little bit less than 3,400 screens and did about a $2,400 per screen average. So once again, not real good numbers there, but the critical scores have actually been pretty decent. 85% Rotten Tomatoes, 83% audiences. Critics like it, audiences like it. So we'll see if this has any legs. I'm really not anticipating it. It really did have a very good marketing campaign. I really haven't heard much about it. I haven't heard anybody discussing this movie. So I don't think it's going to have one of those potential to be around in November, December, and be that sleeper that gets to 100 million. I don't see Roofman being that movie. Do you yearn for a life that's free from anxiety and stress? An enriching life where you are in total control of your emotions, thoughts, and actions? Self-control that allows you to make only the best choices for you while acting in complete confidence that your actions will yield the most positive of results. Well, if this sounds like you and you're ready to get your spiritual life in order, I'd encourage you to schedule a victory session with me. My victory sessions combine ancient spiritual teachings along with the science of numerology. Interpreting your unique numerical makeup will allow me to teach you how to use these teachings and implement them into your life according to your unique purpose and spiritual personality, producing incredible results while moving you forward in your spiritual path. To take your next step forward, all you have to do is reach out to me and schedule your very own victory session. Contact me today at the link in the description or comment section, and I look forward to hearing from you. All right, in third place is a former number one and Oscar hopeful, One Battle After Another, the Leonardo DiCaprio flick, bringing in another $6.7 million this weekend, only dropping 39.3% from last weekend, and its domestic total now stands at $54.5 million. Once again, this movie's production budget was around $130 million, so it does have to bring in around $300 million just to turn a profit. The global gross right now does stand at $138 million. I don't know if it's going to have that kind of legs, but I am kind of impressed at how it's kind of stuck around here in the top five. In fourth place is the family movie, the only family movie that is currently on our charts, and that is Gabby's Dollhouse, the movie, adding another $3.4 million into its coffers, only dropping 37% from last week, and bringing in a domestic total of $26.4 million. Then in fifth place, we have the other new movie that's on our top five, and that is the faith-based drama Soul on Fire, which brought in a $3 million opening weekend on a little bit over 1,700 screens, and as well as a $1,700 per screen average. I think this is kind of an average type performance for one of these movies. I have seen some of these faith-based dramas actually earn closer to 10, 15 million. So this does seem a little bit on the low side, but on a slow weekend, it does become one of the top five grossing movies. Okay, moving on to the biggest losers of the week, and I have two of them. The first is The Smashing Machine, which opened last week to pretty dismal numbers, and this week has taken an incredible 69% drop from last weekend, only bringing in $1.8 million this past weekend, and that is only a $541 per screen average. And that is pretty bad, but even worse is Kiss of the Spider-Woman, the new J-Lo movie, which just opened this past weekend. It's a remake of a 1980s movie. It's actually a musical remake of the 1980s movie Kiss of the Spider-Woman, which I believe starred William Hurt. There has been a lot of Oscar buzz around this movie, and given this opening weekend, I think this is one of those movies, kind of like The Smashing Machine, where the Oscar buzz may just end up stopping there, at the buzz because this movie didn't even break $1 million on over 1,300 screens, only bringing in $690 per screen. Now remember, this is a Jennifer Lopez movie. It's a big screen musical that they're trying to get the attention of the Hollywood Foreign Press Association and the Oscar committee and all of these awards committees, right? And it comes out and doesn't even break $700 per screen average. Really sad. We're going to see what happens this next weekend because I think they are going to, I believe, add more screens to this movie. So we'll see if Kiss of the Spider Woman does any better this weekend. If it doesn't, I think this, as well as Smashing Machine, very well may get shut out and forgotten when it comes time for award season. All right, so all of our movies combined grossed $70 million this past weekend, which is a drop of almost 15% from last week when Taylor Swift headlined at number one, and is also a 3.7% drop from the same week last year. So, not a good week at the movies. All right, next week we're going to see a few new releases, including the horror film and much anticipated sequel, Black Phone 2, which will once again star Ethan Hawke, Mason Thames, and Madeline McGraw, and will once again be directed by Scott Derrickson. And then there's Good Fortune, which is a supernatural comedy directed by Aziz Ansari and starring Seth Rogen. Then we have a couple of Oscar hopefuls. The British Urchin, which just released this past weekend, is adding more screens this coming weekend. So we're going to see if that makes a dent in the box office charts. And then there is After the Hunt, the new Julia Roberts movie, which actually opened up on 6 screens this past weekend and had the highest per screen average of any movie on the chart. But both Urchin and After the Hunt have garnered a lot of Oscar buzz, so we'll be keeping an eye out for them. All right, that's going to do it for the box office results. I really do appreciate you being here with me. And once again, if you would, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button as well as like and share this video. Also, let me know what you think about the charts and have you seen any of these movies? Which ones did you like or which ones did you not like? Let me know in the comments. I really do appreciate you being here with me once again. Thank you so much. And until next time, that's a wrap.